For today's video, we are talking about translations, and this is for our new unit on geometry. So, our learning target is I can translate images on a coordinate plane. Please write down the date you're watching this for your own records. Write down what you already know. So maybe you've heard of translations before, maybe you haven't. Either way, that's okay, but you do know what a coordinate plane is, so you can write about that. Then we have three vocabulary words. Our first one is translations. Translations means sliding. It means moving a shape with, this should say out, without, rotating, or flipping it. The shape will look the same, but in a different place. Our next learning target is the pre-image. A pre-image is an object before a transformation. And then an image is an object after a transformation. Our new points after a transformation, such as a translation, they're called prime. And I wrote in here, for example, our new points could be A prime, B prime, C prime. Those little parentheses mean prime. So please pause the video here, get all of that written down, and then restart when you're ready to go. All right, so talking about translations. To translate a figure, we will move it in its specified units. We can move it either left or right using the x-axis, or we can move it up and down using the y-axis. So for example, let's look at this picture here. This is a translation. This figure ABCD was translated and it's now A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. And you can see here I have A, here I have a prime. You see that little dash there, little parenthesis. B and B prime, C and C prime, D and D prime. So those are our points. And you can see this is the same figure. It didn't get reflected or flipped around anywhere. It didn't get turned. It's literally the same picture. It's just slid a little bit. So if I wanted to figure out where this went, I want to see how I got A to A prime. Now that diagonal line, that's not going to help me very much. So instead, what we do is we see how far it moved left or right and how far it moved up or down. So here, if I wanted to get from A to A prime, I wanted to see, well, first, it obviously moved to the right. And I would say it moved right 1, 2, 3 units. Then it moved down. It moved down to there. So it moved down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. So this moved right 3 and down 5. So to draw this, to write my rule, the way the rule works is I would say this got in my x-axis moving to the right 3. Well, moving to the right on the x-axis, that's getting positive. It's getting bigger. I went from -2 to +1 here. So my x-axis moved to the right 3, which is the same as +3. Actually, I'm going to write that here. Right 3 is adding 3 to my x. Down is on the y-axis here. Moving down is getting more negative. So this is going negative on my y. So my rule is that x, y turned into x plus 3 because it moved to the right to the +3, and y minus 5 because it moved down toward the negative on the y. And if I looked at every single point, if I looked at B, for example, to the right 3 and down 5, I end up at B prime. Same thing with C and same thing with D. All of them moved the exact same. They all moved to the right 3 or x plus 3 and down 5, or y minus 5. So this is how we write the rule for a translation. We're figuring out what is happening to the x and then what is happening to the y. So let's look at this one. Here I have a solid figure and a slash dashed figure. The solid figure is my regular, so we could call this A, B, C, D. And my dotted line figure, that is my image after. So A, B, C, D is my pre-image before. And then my dotted line figure is my image after the rotation. But what we really want to know is we are interested in the rule. I want to know, how did B turn into B prime? Because if I figure that out, it's going to be the same for A, C, and D. So what I want you to do right now first, see if you can figure out the rule on your own. Even if you can just figure out this part, how did it move? The words, and then we'll see if we can write the rule together. So pause the video, see if you can do that, and restart when you're ready. All right, so let's look at this. To get from B to B prime, first I see that it moved left 1, 2, 3, 4. So left 4. Then it moved down just that 1. So down 1. Okay, moving to the left. Moving to the left means that my numbers are getting smaller on my x-axis. So this time my rule is x minus 4. And then down 1, well, my going down is getting smaller on my y-axis too. So y minus 1. And I could check all of these other points as well, and I will see that each one is moving the same. To the left 4 and down 1. So my rule is x minus 4 and y minus 1. So that is how we can translate a figure and figure out its rule. So now let's see if we have a figure that looked like this. And I told you we needed to translate it with the rule x plus 2 and y minus 1. Let's think about what all of that means. X plus 2, that means positive, or to the right 2. And y minus 1, well, that minusing on the y will be going down, so that will mean down 1. So each point on this, I need to move right 2 and down 1. So let's start at my first point. If I move to the right 2 and down 1, it goes right there. Right? My next point, I'm going to move to the right 2, down 1, goes there. And this point to the right 2, down 1, and it goes there. Connecting those looks like this. And I have my answer. And I can see it looks exactly the same as my last picture. It just got slid over a little bit. Okay? So see if you can do this next one on your own. See if you can figure out how it's moving, and then move it on your own, and then restart the video to check your work when you're done. Okay, so hopefully you've tried this next problem on your own. So let's look at what it is. X minus 6. If I'm moving to minus on the X, that means I'm moving left 6. And then Y plus 5, moving positive on the Y, that means up 5. So each of my points, I'm going to be moving to the left 6 and then up 5. So let's start here again. So to the left 6 ends up here. And then up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my new point will be right there. I can do the same with my others. So if I take this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. gets me right there. And then my last point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gets me right there. And now we can draw our new shape. And it looks like my other shape just slid to the left and up. So that means that I probably did this correctly. The next type of thing we want to be able to do is we want to be able to look at points and say where they would go if we were translating them, but without actually having to translate them. Okay, so let's say that we had a triangle PQR and we wanted to translate it by this rule, x plus 3, y plus 6. If I want to know now where these points would go, I'm just going to use the rule. So for P -2, 5, this time instead of graphing, I'm going to say, okay, P prime then is -2 plus 3, because that's there, and then 5 plus 6. I'm just combining all of those things. That means P prime is -2 plus 3, well, that's 1, and 5 plus 6 is 11. So P prime would go at 1, 11. The same thing for Q. For Q prime, I would do 4 plus 3, 3 plus 6. That gives me Q prime of 7, 9. So for your check for this, I would like you to figure out where R prime will be. Just put it in with the parentheses and the comma. You do not need to use any spaces. But after the translation, x plus 3, y plus 6, where is R prime going to be? Again, use the parentheses and the comma. Do not use any spaces for your answer. Will be your first question for your check. The last thing I want to show you is a problem that looks like a problem that you might get on a test or quiz. And when I say might, remember that I write your tests and quizzes, so I know that this is on your tests, on your quiz. So really, really, really good problem. This problem tells us that the translation x minus 2, y plus 3 was already used. It already happened. And it was used to move triangle JKL to the image triangle J prime, K prime, L prime. So if we look, we see these are all prime points. They all have the little dash. This is after we did x minus 2 and y plus 3. So we want to go backwards and find out what the point L was before this happened. So right now, if I look at L, I see that L is right here at 3, -2. That was after we did this. So if I want to go backwards, I need to do the opposite. So the opposite of x minus 2, y plus 3 will be doing the exact opposite. So instead of x minus 2, I'll do x plus 2. And instead of y plus 3, I'll do y minus 3. Again, I'm working backwards, so I'm going to do this the opposite direction. So here I had the point 3, -2 for L prime. So now I can plug this in. So L will be at 3 plus 2 and -2 minus 3. That is 5, -5. So please make sure you understand this last one and why we went backwards when we went from the image back to the pre-image. Make sure you understand why we did and subtracting here. Please let me know if you have any questions and have a great day.